I want to start at the moment my brother went quiet mid-sentence. We were at Christmas dinner. My parents' house in Quincy, Massachusetts. 14 people around the table. My mother had just finished telling the Changs from next door that I worked at a little Asian fusion place in the South End. She said little the way people say little when they mean insignificant. My brother Kevin had his phone under the table, the way he always did, scrolling, not listening. And then he stopped scrolling. His face changed. He looked at me, then at his phone, then at me again. Maya. He said my name like a question and an accusation at the same time. The table went quiet. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I already knew what it was. I had been waiting for that call for 11 years. But first, let me tell you how we got here. Because the call only means something if you understand what came before it. And what came before it was 11 years of my family telling everyone I was just a cook. My name is Maya Chen. I am 34 years old. I was born in Quincy, Massachusetts, the second of 3 children. My father, Henry, came to Boston from Hong Kong in 1987, 17 years old, 1 suitcase, $200, a cousin's address in Chinatown written on a folded piece of paper. He built a dry cleaning business from nothing. Literally nothing. Started as a delivery driver. Learned the equipment. Saved for 7 years. Bought the shop. My mother, Linda, worked the front counter 6 days a week for 20 years. She knew every customer's name, every preference, every standing order. They were not wealthy, but they were deliberate. Everything they did was pointed at one thing. Their children would have what they did not. My brother Kevin was 3 years older than me. He became an accountant, CPA, firm in downtown Boston. My parents spoke about Kevin the way people speak about an answered prayer. My sister Annie was 3 years younger. Pre-med at Tufts, then medical school, then residency, then attending physician. My parents spoke about Annie the way people speak about a miracle. And then there was me, Maya, the middle one. The one who spent every afternoon after school in the restaurant 2 doors down from the dry cleaner. Golden Phoenix, Mr. and Mrs. Lamb's place. Cantonese food. 50 seats, always full. Mrs. Lamb let me watch. Then she let me help. Peeling ginger. Washing bok choy. Learning the difference between a simmer and a boil by watching her hands. I was 12 years old and I already knew that the kitchen was the only place where everything made sense. My parents did not see it that way. Not then, not for a very long time, but I was 12, and the kitchen was warm, and Mrs. Lamb never told me I was wasting my time, so I kept going back, every afternoon, for 4 years, until something happened that changed the direction of everything. I was 17, junior year, the kitchen table, Sunday dinner. My father had made congee. The way he always did on Sundays, simple, perfect, the kind of food that does not need to announce itself. I waited until Kevin had gone to his room, until Annie was doing homework, until it was just the 3 of us at the table. I said, I want to go to culinary school. My father set down his spoon. My mother looked at me the way you look at something that does not compute, culinary school. She said it back to me like a foreign phrase she was trying to translate. I want to be a chef. I want to run my own restaurant. I've been learning at Golden Phoenix. Mrs. Lamb says I have real instinct. She says, my father put his hand up. Not aggressive. Just stop. We did not come here so you could cook. We cook at home. Everyone cooks at home. That is not a career. I tried. Dad, it is a career. There are chefs who run multi-million-dollar restaurants. There are awards. My mother cut in. Her voice was not angry, worse. It was tired. Maya, your father worked 17 years, so you would not have to work with your hands. You understand? We did that already. You are supposed to go further, as if everything I loved was a step backward. Kevin appeared in the doorway. He had heard. He looked at me, shook his head. The way older siblings shake their heads when they think you are being embarrassingly naive. He said, just do business, Maya. You can always cook on weekends. Cook on weekends. Like it was a hobby. Like the thing that made me feel most alive was something to be done on leftover time. I did not argue. I had learned already that certain conversations with my parents ended at the hand signal. I went to my room. I sat on my bed. I looked at the ceiling. And I made a decision that I did not tell anyone. I was going to do it anyway. Quietly, without permission. Without their blessing. I was going to do it and I was going to do it so well that one day the conversation would finish itself. I applied to Johnson & Wales in Providence, Rhode Island. Culinary arts program. I did it on a school computer during lunch. I had saved the application fee from 3 months of tutoring neighborhood kids in math. The acceptance letter came to a friend's address. I did not want my parents to intercept it. I told them 3 weeks later. At the same kitchen table, same Sunday, same kanji. My father read the letter twice. My mother sat with her hands folded in her lap, the way she sat in church, like she was enduring something. You applied without telling us. Yes. You already paid the fee. Yes. My father looked at the ceiling. He did not look at me for a long time. Then he said, "We will not pay for this. That is your choice. I know. I have a partial scholarship. I will take loans for the rest." He nodded once, stood up, put his bowl in the sink, went to his chair in the living room, turned on the television. That was it. No yelling, no dramatic scene. Just the quiet withdrawal of a man who had decided to stop trying to understand. My mother told the relatives I was taking a hospitality program. She could not say culinary. The word got stuck somewhere between her pride and her mouth. Kevin told his friends I was going to cooking school. He said it the way you say someone failed their bar exam. Unfortunate. But what can vous do? Annie was 12. She hugged me before I left. Said, "I think it is cool. You are going to be famous." She was the only one. I drove to Providence in a 2003 Honda Civic with 2 suitcases and $40 in my checking account. And I was happier than I had been in 4 years, because I was going towards something. And that feeling of moving toward something that is entirely yours is worth more than anyone's approval. I learned that at 23. The hard way. The only way that sticks. I graduated Johnson & Wales with honors. My parents did not come to the ceremony. My father had a delivery. My mother said it was too far. Providence is 45 minutes from Quincy. Mrs. Lamb came. She drove herself, 72 years old, sat in the 3rd row, cried when I crossed the stage. I got a job at Harvest. Cambridge. James Beard nominated chef. New American cuisine. I started as a prep cook. My mother told the relatives I was working at a restaurant in Cambridge. She said restaurant the way someone says temporary. Year 2. I made line cook. I called my father. He said good. He asked if had enough money for rent. That was the whole conversation. Year 3. I moved to Oleana. Anna Sortun's restaurant. Mediterranean. Oleana had won more awards than my parents had attended dinners of mine. Which was 0. My mother told the Changs I was still at a restaurant. She used the same voice every time. The voice that said I have 2 other children who turned out fine. Year 4. I was sous chef. I sent my parents a card. Not an email. A card. Handwritten. I got promoted. I am sous chef now. I thought you should know. My mother called 3 days later. Not about the promotion. Kevin's firm was doing well. He had made senior associate. She thought I should know. Year 5. I started saving. Not for an apartment. For something bigger. I had a number in my head. I did not tell anyone what it was. Not even Mrs. Lamb. Year 6. Annie graduated medical school. My parents threw a dinner. 40 people. A banquet room at a restaurant in Chinatown. Sat at table 4. Between a cousin I had met twice and an empty chair. My mother stood up with a microphone. She talked about Annie for 6 minutes. She talked about Kevin for 3. She looked at me once, smiled, and to Maya, who is finding her path. Finding her path. I was 30 years old. I had been on my path for 11 years. They just had not looked down to see where it led. Year 7. I found the space. A former textile building in the south end of Boston. 3 floors. Ground floor commercial. 2nd floor event space. 3rd floor apartment. The owner was retiring. He wanted someone who would keep the building alive. We met 4 times. He asked me what I wanted to build. I told him. He named a price. $3.8 million. I did not sleep that night. I sat at my kitchen table with a spreadsheet and ran numbers until 3 a.m. 7 years of savings, an SBA loan, and 1 phone call to Mrs. Lamb. She listened to everything. The building, the price, the plan. When I finished, she was quiet for 10 seconds. Then she said, "How much do you need?" $150,000. She said, "Come for dinner Sunday. We will sign the papers after." That is how I bought my building. A woman who let me wash her bok choy at 12 years old believed in me before. I had proof. My parents never knew. The deed was filed under Chen Hospitality Group LLC, public record. Anyone could find it. Nobody in my family ever looked. I named the restaurant Golden Thread. Not for my family, not as a tribute. As a reminder, there is a Chinese proverb, an invisible thread connects those who are destined to meet. The thread may stretch or tangle, but it will never break. I thought about that thread while I was building the restaurant. The thread between Mrs. Lamb's kitchen and this one, between a 12-year-old peeling ginger and a 31-year-old signing a deed. The renovation took 8 months. I designed the dining room myself, 62 seats, exposed brick, hand-painted silk panels sourced from a studio in Shanghai, a custom noodle station visible through glass from every table in the room. The menu was everything I had spent 11 years learning. Modern Chinese-American cuisine, not fusion, not a trend. A conversation between two food traditions that had been in me since I was old enough to stand at a stove. My signature dish was a slow braised pork belly with my father's congee. His recipe, exactly, the Sunday congee from the kitchen table where he told me cooking was not a career. I put it on the menu and I charged $32 for it. It sold out every single night. My general manager was a woman named Priya. She had run front of house at 2 Michelin-starred restaurants. She was the only staff member who knew I owned the building. She asked me on our first day, "Does your family know?" "No." She handed me a reservation sheet. "Professional choice or personal?" "Both." She nodded. "Okay, table. 2 is a critic from the Globe. Make sure the congee is perfect." It was. He came back 3 weeks later with his wife and his editor. The review ran on a Thursday, a 4-star review. Boston Globe, Golden Thread is the most important new restaurant in Boston in 5 years. I read it at the prep station. At Sam, alone. Then I folded it, put it in my apron pocket, and started the prep list. My father reads the Globe every morning. He has since 1989. He never mentioned the review. I do not know if he saw it. I know he did not look for it. That told me everything I needed to know about where I still stood. Let me tell you about the family dinners, because they are important. Not because of what was said, but because of what was never said. Chinese New Year every year. My parents' house in Quincy, the same round table, the same lazy Susan, the same relatives who came from Chinatown and Malden and Brookline. Every year. The same introduction. Kevin, accountant. Senior associate now. My mother said it the way you say a title. Proud. Specific. Annie, doctor. Attending physician, same. Proud, specific. Maya, pause. Every year that pause. The breath before a sentence that never quite landed. She works at a restaurant, or she is in the food industry, or she is doing her thing in the South End. Her thing. Like I was macrame, like I was a phase. My Uncle Raymond asked me once, Chinese New Year, year 4 of the restaurant. "Maya, what are you doing these days?" I said, "Loan a restaurant in the South End. Golden Thread." Maybe you have heard of it, plus he had. His son had taken his wife there for their anniversary. He looked at me, then at my mother, then back at me. "Your mother said you worked there." My mother was already refilling his tea. Her hand steady, her face arranged. "She does. She works very hard there." Looked at her. She did not look at me. The lazy Susan kept turning, dishes rotating, conversation moving, and my restaurant, the restaurant I owned, became the restaurant I worked at in 14 seconds flat. I did not correct her. Not that night. I filed it away. The way I filed everything. Evidence of who they were when they thought I had nothing. Year 6. Kevin made partner. My parents threw a dinner, a real one, catered, 30 people. A speech. My mother stood up. "Kevin represents everything your father and I worked for. Everything we sacrificed for. He is proof that the American dream is real." I was seated at the end of the table, between cousin Linda and the Chang's son Michael, who was 17, and kept asking me if I knew any famous chefs. Year 7. Golden Thread was nominated for a James Beard Award, Rising Star Chef of the Year. I did not tell my family. I framed the nomination letter, hung it in my office next to the deed, 2 pieces of paper, both saying the same thing. You are exactly where you are supposed to be. Year 8. Annie got engaged. My mother cried. Happy tears. The kind she reserved for moments that confirmed she had done something right. At the engagement dinner, my father put his arm around me. The way fathers do when they want to appear warm without committing to it. He said, "Your time will come, Maya. When are you going to find something stable?" I was 32. I owned a building worth $3.8 million. I had 42 employees. I had been nominated for a James Beard Award. I smiled, said nothing, ate my dinner, drove home, and in my office above the restaurant, I sat at my desk and looked at the deed on the wall and the nomination letter beside it. Stable. He wanted stable. I had built a foundation he could not see because he had never looked down at the ground. The WeChat message came by accident. My cousin Linda sent it to me instead of her husband. Same mistake people always make. Alphabetical contacts. Chen Linda. Chen Maya. It was a screenshot of the family group chat. The one I was not in. The one called Chen Family. 6 members. Mom, Dad, Kevin, Annie, Uncle Raymond. Aunt Susan. Not me. The screenshot showed a thread from 2 weeks earlier. About Chinese New Year planning. Uncle Raymond. Should we go to Golden Thread this year? I hear it is very good. My mother. Raymond, please. Maya will make it awkward. She will try to take us on a tour and introduce us to everyone. It will be embarrassing. Kevin. Honestly, yeah. She gets weird when we go, like she is trying to prove something. Annie. I mean, it is a good restaurant. I just do not want a whole thing. My mother. Let us just go to Peach Farm. Nice and simple. No complications. No complications. I was the complication. My restaurant was the complication. 11 years of my life was the thing they wanted to eat around. I sat in my office. Parsley, my cat, a gray tabby I had found, in the alley behind the restaurant, on our first winter, was asleep on the printer. I read the thread 3 times. The way you read something that strips away every excuse you have. Been making for 11 years. She gets weird. Kevin had written, like she is trying to prove something. Yes, I was trying to prove something. I had been trying to prove something since I was 17 years old at a kitchen table with a spoon in his father's kanji. I saved the screenshot, put it in a folder on my phone. I labeled it the same way I labeled everything that mattered. For when I need to remember why, then I closed my phone. Put it in my drawer, picked up parsley, walked downstairs. I had 74 covers that night. The braised pork belly needed finishing. The restaurant did not care about my family's group chat. And I was learning slowly, finally, neither did I. Year 11. Golden Thread had been named one of the top 10 restaurants in Key. Boston by Boston magazine. Zagat rated us 28 out of 30. We had a 4-month wait list for weekend reservations. The James Beard Foundation had contacted my publicist in October. Not a nomination, not yet, a conversation. They were considering me for Outstanding Chef, not Rising. Star, Outstanding Chef, the big one. I did not tell anyone. Not even Priya, not even Mrs. Lamb. I went to my parents' house for Christmas Eve dinner because I always did. Because despite everything, every group chat I was not in, every introduction that erased me, every dinner where Kevin and Annie were celebrated and I was tolerated, they were still my family. And some threads do not break, even when they should. My mother had outdone herself. New tablecloth, red lanterns strung in the doorway, a centerpiece of winter plums, the good chopsticks, the ones that only came out for occasions that mattered. 14 people. Kevin and his wife Sarah, Annie and her fiancé, David, Uncle Raymond and Aunt Susan, the Changs from next door, cousins, me. Seated between Aunt Susan and cousin Michael, who was now 19 and had stopped asking if I knew famous chefs. Progress. Mrs. Chang turned to me during the soup course. Maya, I keep meaning to ask, my book club wants somewhere special. What is the name of that restaurant you work at again? Golden Thread. South End. My mother appeared at my elbow, reflexive, like she had been waiting. It is a darling little place. Her voice. The same voice. 11 years. The same voice. Maya has been there a long time. She knows everyone. She patted my hand. The way you pat a child who is doing their best. Kevin was across the table. He had his phone in his lap. The way he always did. Scrolling, half listening. He had heard the name Golden Thread. I saw him type something. I did not react. I picked up my soup spoon. I kept eating because I had been waiting 11 years for this exact moment. And I had learned from 11 years of kitchen service that timing is everything. You do not rush the finish. You let it come. Kevin went quiet during the main course. That was the first sign. Kevin was never quiet. Kevin had opinions about everything delivered at full volume with the confidence of a man who had never been wrong in his own estimation. But he was quiet. He was looking at his phone under the table. His wife Sarah touched his arm. He did not look up. My father was telling Uncle Raymond about a problem with the dry cleaner's new equipment. Annie and David were talking quietly. My mother was refilling tea. And Kevin was Googling Golden Thread Boston. I know because he told me later. And because the search results do not lie. First result. Our website, clean, professional, award badges across the header. The kind of website that does not belong to a darling little place. Second result. Boston Globe, 4 stars. The most important new restaurant in Boston in 5 years. Third result. Boston Magazine, top 10 restaurants. Chef owner Maya Chen. Fourth result. Suffolk County Clerk, property records. Chen Hospitality Group LLC, managing member. Maya Chen, assessed value, $3,800,000. Kevin set his phone face down on the table. Then he picked it up again. Then he set it down. Sarah looked at him. He did not look at her. He looked at me. Maya. He said my name like a question and an accusation at the same time. The table noise continued. Nobody else had noticed. Kevin. His voice was lower. Do you own that restaurant? My mother looked up from the teapot. The restaurant. And the building. The table went quiet. Not all at once, in waves. The way quiet spreads when something has been said that changes the air pressure of a room. My mother set the teapot down. What? Kevin turned his phone over, slid it across the table to her. The property record was on the screen. My name, the LLC, the assessed value. In black and white. My father leaned over. Read it. His face did not change, but his jaw tightened. The way it tightened when something required processing that he was not ready to process. Annie was pale. She looked at me across the table. Her fiancé. David had the good sense to suddenly become very interested in his plate. Uncle Raymond cleared his throat. Aunt Susan put down her chopsticks. Everyone could see the screen. James Beard Foundation. I looked at it. I looked at the table. 14 people, the winter plum centerpiece, the good chopsticks, my mother's face. I picked up the phone, excused myself, walked to the hallway. I answered. Miss Chen, this is Caroline Park from the James Beard Foundation. I am calling to inform you that Golden Thread and Chef Maya Chen have been selected as a finalist for Outstanding Chef of the Year. I stood in my parents' hallway, the same hallway where I had carried my suitcases out at 17 years old. The same hallway where my father's coat still hung on the same hook it had hung on since 1994. I said, thank you. I will call you Monday to discuss. I hung up. I stood in the hallway for 4 seconds. Counted them, the way I counted before every dinner service. Then I walked back to the table, sat down, picked up my chopsticks. The table was still silent. Everyone watching. My mother. Who was that? The James Beard Foundation. The what? It is a culinary award, the most prestigious in America. I am a finalist for Outstanding Chef of the Year. Nobody spoke. Uncle Raymond broke first. He laughed, not a cruel laugh, a real one, the laugh of a man who had suspected something and had just been confirmed. He raised his glass, Maya, to Maya. He was the only one, at first. Then David, Annie's flance, who did not know the history but understood the moment. He raised his glass. Then Annie quietly, her eyes bright. Kevin set his phone face down. He raised his glass. He could not look at me directly, but he raised it. My father, last, slowly. His glass came up. His mouth opened. Nothing came out. He cleared his throat, raised it higher. My mother. She did not raise her glass, not yet. She was looking at me the way you look at something you have been seeing wrong for 11 years and are only now beginning to see clearly. Her eyes were wet. She raised her glass. Slowly, both hands, the way she held things that mattered. The table drank. In a silence that had weight, the good kind, the kind that means something has shifted and everyone in the room can feel it. I drank my tea, set it down, picked up my chopsticks. The braised pork belly my mother had made tonight was very good. I told her so. She looked at me. For a long moment. It is your father's recipe. I know, I use it at the restaurant. It is on the menu. $32. My father made a sound. Not a word, a sound. somewhere between a laugh and something that had no name. He looked at his bowl, then at me. People pay $32 for my congee recipe every night. We sell out every night. He shook his head. But he was smiling, for the first time in 11 years, at something I had done. He was smiling. I drove home at 11. The South End was quiet. Christmas lights in the brownstone windows. The restaurant dark on the ground floor. I parked. Sat in the car. Did not go inside yet. My phone lit up. Annie. I answered. She said, "Why did you never tell us?" I said, "Would it have changed anything?" She was quiet. Then, would have visited. I should have visited. Maya, I'm a doctor. I make reservations at restaurants like yours all the time. I never once. She stopped. You never asked. What I did. What it was called. Whether I was proud of it. She was crying. The quiet kind. I could hear it in her breathing. I am sorry. Her voice was small. I am so sorry. I know. Kevin texted at midnight. No greeting. Just the congee on your menu. Is it actually Dad's recipe? Exactly. He sent back a single emoji. A chef's hat. It was Kevin's version of an apology. I accepted it. My mother called the next morning. December 25th, 8 a.m. I answered. She said, "I want to come see it. The restaurant. Can we come today? It is Christmas." I know. Can we come? I thought about saying no. I thought about making them wait. The way they had made me wait for 11 years. But that is not who I am. That is not what the restaurant taught me to be. Come at noon. I will make lunch. She exhaled. A long breath. The kind that carries more than air. Thank you. They came. All of them. My parents. Kevin and Sarah. Annie. And David. Even Uncle Raymond. And Aunt Susan. Who had been right, all along, and had the grace not to say so. I gave them the tour. The dining room. The kitchen. The noodle station. The event space. My office. My mother stood in front of the deed. For a long time, her hand came up, touched the frame, pulled back. Chen Hospitality Group. She read it quietly. Chen. Our name. Yes. She looked at the nomination letter beside it. Then at the 4-star review. Then at me. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. I did not help her. I let her find the words herself. She had taken 11 years. She could take a few more seconds. Finally she said, "Did not understand." No. I thought working with your hands. I know what you thought. Your father, I know. She looked at the deed again. Her name was not on it. Mine was. That said everything. She turned to me. And for the first time in 34 years, my mother looked at me without the filter of comparison, without Kevin, without Annie, without the degree she wanted me to have or the title she wanted to say at church. She just looked at me. I made lunch. Braised pork belly, my father's congee, fresh scallion oil, steamed snapper, hand-pulled noodles. My father ate in silence. 3 bowls of congee. At the end he set down his spoon. This is better than mine. He did not say anything. I did not need to. He knew. And knowing was enough. I want to tell you where things stand now. Golden Thread is still open. We expanded to a second location in Cambridge last spring. Mrs. Lamb came to the opening. She sat at the chef's table and ordered everything on the menu. When I brought out her dessert, she looked at me and said, "Always knew. From the first day with the ginger, I always knew. My parents come for dinner once a month. Standing reservation. Table 6. By the noodle station window. My father always orders the congee. He has never once mentioned that it is his recipe. He does not need to. We both know. My mother told the church about the James Beard nomination. All of it, every detail. She said my daughter, the chef owner. Not my daughter who works at a restaurant. My daughter, the chef owner. It took 11 years. But she got there. Kevin made a reservation for his firm's holiday party. 42 people. The event space. He introduced me to his colleagues as my sister, the owner. He said it the way he used to say, accountant, proud, specific. Annie brought her entire residency cohort for a birthday dinner. She stood up and gave a toast. She said, "My sister built this," with her hands. And I'm sorry it took me this long to say that out loud. Uncle Raymond still orders the halibut. Every time. He never tells a soul. He just comes, quietly, without an agenda. The way people do when they believe in you before you have proof. Here is what 11 years taught me. The people who dismiss you are not always your enemies. Sometimes they are just afraid. Afraid that your path makes their path look smaller. Afraid that if you succeed doing the thing they told you not to do, it means they were wrong. And being wrong, especially about someone you love, is one of the hardest things a person can admit. Give them time. Not forever, but time. And while you are giving them time, build. Build quietly. Build without permission. Build without their blessing if their blessing is not coming. Because the work does not care who believes in you. The work only cares what you put into it. And what you put into it is what comes out of it. Every time, without fail. My father came to the restaurant last Tuesday. Not for dinner, just to come. He sat at the bar, had tea. Watched the kitchen through the glass. I came out and sat beside him. He did not say anything for a while. Then, you know what this reminds me of? What? The dry cleaner. When I first bought it, I would sit in the back after closing. Just sit, because it was mine. You understand. It was mine. L'understand. He nodded. Drank his tea. You did good, Maya. 4 words, simple, 11 years late. And still, the best review I ever received. If you are building something that nobody around you understands, yet keep building. The deed gets felled. The phone rings. The table goes quiet. And the people who told you it was not a career will order the congee. 3 bowls. Every time.